A baby gorilla was pounding desperately, an incessant, frantic knocking on a wooden door beneath the ranger station's rural porch. The sudden, desperate crash shattered the morning silence of the African savanna, where low green grass stretched towards scattered acacia trees. Ranger Eaton snapped alert. He opened the heavy door and saw the baby gorilla standing on the porch, crying out with a primal terror that pierced Eaton's bones. It was not a playful squeal, but a desperate plea. Eaton, whose 30 years in the field taught him reverence for protocol, dropped to one knee, ignoring danger to meet the small creature at its level. He extended his hand in a gesture of calm. The baby gorilla immediately seized that hand with one of its own, pulling him forward. With the other hand, it pointed clear, unambiguous urgency toward the distant acacia belt savanna. It was a message of pure desperation and deep trust. Eaton knew that following meant risking everything, but the plea in those wide, intelligent eyes was unmistakable. Before we see where this little hero leads him, hit the like button if you believe that animals possess a deeper understanding than we sometimes give them credit for. Eaton knew that trailing the baby gorilla would break the primary rule of his assignment, but urgency in that small, quivering gaze eclipsed any instruction. The line between duty and instinct was about to be crossed. Eaton's heart pounded against his ribs, a drumbeat of internal conflict. His training shouted to secure the zone, call his team on the radio, and wait. But the baby gorilla was already sprinting across the short green grass. Its small back served as a compass, pointing to a crisis. Eaton keyed his radio. His voice was tight. "This is Eaton. Situation developing. Following baby gorilla near the acacia belt. Request backup. Non-aggressive approach. Etta 20 minutes. He knew 20 minutes was too long. The baby often glanced back, checking that the ranger remained committed. Its frantic pace urged Eaton forward, into the wild edge of the reserve. They crossed open savanna. Only sounds were the rustle of dry grass and the rapid top of boots and knuckles. When they reached a cluster of acacia marking the foothills, the atmosphere shifted completely. The air grew dense with tense, oppressive silence. The baby gorilla abruptly slowed, moving cautiously. Eaton knew why. He was the first to see the figure, a massive and formidable presence. The father gorilla, a dominant silverback, paced near a rocky outcrop. He was a force of nature. Every ounce of his powerful body exuded alertness and threat. His dark eyes, usually focused on troop safety, locked instantly on Eaton. This was the point of no return. A low, deep growl rumbled from the father, a sound felt more in the chest than heard in the ears. The most dangerous sound Eaton had ever confronted. It was a clear, final warning. Eaton made himself small, instinctively diverting his gaze and lowering his shoulders, showing respect rather than fear. He did not wish to confront dominance. He only wished to convey common concern. The ritual of threat displayed by the dominant silverback is how conflict is prevented. But in a family in crisis, that ritual can become lethal. Eaton took a slow, measured step forward. The silverback halted. His colossal body froze. The confrontation hung heavily in the air. Then the baby made the choice. It ran back to Eaton, tugging frantically at his pant leg, utterly disregarding the immense danger of its father. It dragged Eaton toward threat, demonstrating absolute trust in the man and urgent concern for what lay ahead. Eaton closed his eyes for a fraction of a second, entrusting his life to the baby gorilla's fragile grip. Nearby, the silverback followed. He stood there, scent heavy in the confined space, a mix of musk and despair. He looked down at the trapped gorilla mother, then at Eaton, and uttered a low, mournful guttural. It was not a threat. It was raw, unfiltered grief. In that moment, the imaginary line between ranger and wild great ape, between human and animal, dissolved entirely. They were just two males facing the impending loss of the female they both cared for. Eaton looked directly into the eyes of the silverback. It was the final, gambled risk, a gesture of challenge and trust that could cost him his life. But all fear had vanished, replaced by fierce, desperate resolve. "I need your help," Eaton said softly but firmly. "We must save her." He gestured to the massive stone pressing the gorilla's hand. Then he pointed to the silverback's enormous arm, indicating the need for combined effort. He himself pushed on the stone, grunting from exertion, revealing the futility of his strength alone. The silverback watched, tilting his head to one side. His gaze shifted from Ethan to the rock to the helpless mother. The complexity of his thoughts, instincts, intellect, and emotion was nearly visible in his deep-set eyes. He understood the gesture. He felt the emergency. If that powerful moment of shared grief moved your heart, leave a comment with your thoughts on animal cognition. The silverback remained tensely still for a long moment. Then he reached out. A massive, scarred black hand, and its life-hardened knuckles clamped onto the same sapling lever Ethan had found. In silence, he joined him. He wrapped his other mighty arm around a solid patch of the rocky formation to brace himself. Positioning perfectly opposite Ethan, he was committed. Ethan exhaled. His voice trembled with terror and awe. On my signal, push. Together. He met the silverback's massive eyes. They nodded simultaneously. Then they threw every ounce of weight into that lever. In the same microsecond, the silverback unleashed a deafening roar of concentrated exertion, resonating through chests, unstrained, pure power, elemental and biblical. Muscles knotted across his back and shoulders. The ground trembled under their feet. The wooden branch groaned, threatening to snap under pressure. In that heart-stopping second, nothing happened. Then, with a deep, sickening screech of stone grinding on stone, the massive slab shifted by a single inch. Again, Ethan cried, repositioning the lever. They pushed again, a synchronized interspecies team. The rock shifted another vital inch. The mother gorilla groaned and tried to pull her hand free, but pressure remained too strong. Once more they braced. On the third push, they combined every ounce of force. This time the rock slid 6 inches to just enough width. With a final agonized whimper, the mother tore free. She fell onto the damp earth, immediately cradling her battered limb. The baby hurled itself upon her back, clutching tightly, emitting sounds of immense relief. Ethan staggered back, his legs turned to jelly, and dropped into a seated position. He stared, utterly breathless, at the pair before him, a human and apes, still clasping the saving lever. Their hearts beat as one. Stay with us for the emotional payoff. The final look the silverback gives the ranger. The mother's life was spared, but the deepest part of the trial remained, unfolding in the silent aftermath. When Ethan lay panting on the ground and locked eyes with the majestic silverback, the silverback's colossal chest heaved. He looked down at the revived mother, then turned his massive head and stared directly at Ethan. There was no aggression, no threat, no dominance display, only a profound, deep, clear expression of understanding. He held Ethan's gaze for a long moment. In that shared silence, a bond forged through careful interaction over decades became something truly unbreakable. The silverback uttered a short, gentle grunt, a sound of gratitude and unmistakable recognition before turning away. He nudged the mother, checking on his partner. It was at that moment that the reserve response team, armed with tranq rifles and emergency gear, burst through the foliage. They froze, stunned by the impossible scene. Ethan, unharmed, sat just a few feet from the gorilla family, now huddled together in protective closeness. Ethan quickly radioed veterinary support to prepare for transporting the mother gorilla to a modern clinic beyond the savannah. This story is not about breaking rules, it's about the mind of a baby gorilla and the deep empathy of the silverback. Later, the vet team confirmed the mother's hand was saved. If they had waited, she would have lost it or died of shock. Ethan's decision, guided by the trust of a child, proved right. This powerful encounter reminds us that empathy, cooperation, and intelligence are not solely human traits. Trust, when genuinely given and honored, is one of the strongest instruments of survival in the wild. If this incredible story moved you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that hope and connection exist everywhere. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that redefine the bond between humans and majestic nature.